everyone, and this is my review for WWE NXT on November the 18th, 2015. And, actually this week's NXT, it wasn't necessarily... They did nothing really match-wise that would say, oh, we're setting up storylines or anything like that. The match with Carmella and Nia Jax was kind of just a setup for building Nia Jax even more as this dominant force and everything like that. They don't even really continue on with whatever they were doing with Nia Jax and Eva Marie from the week before. You also had a match with Emma, kind of served a purpose of installing some dominance into her and probably setting up something for her and Asuka down the road. You also had a backstage promo setting up a match against with Dana Brooke and Asuka, so you probably expect something in there with Emma and everything. So that's probably where they're going to be going and building that feud with Asuka and Emma somewhere down the road, wherever they decide to do it. You had a pretty good promo from Samoa Joe for basically explaining why he wasn't even in the arena or anything on that aspect, and the fact that they were going to have their match with it at NXT Takeover. So that was pretty decent promo there. I'm glad to see Joe in the heel light in this case. He's always played a very good heel, so not a bad way of going. Liked where they were going with that. Dash and Dawson, well, they didn't really do anything to set up the rematch for the Von Villains. They just had a match kind of establishing their dominance again, even though how they did do that with the first match. Now they didn't really do much to set up the rematch, though. They just announced the rematch for the week before, and their match was, just them getting the win in that case. The main matches that they went with, and they had build for throughout from the week before, was obviously the Ascension versus Gable and Jordan. I thoroughly enjoyed this match. I thought they did a good job. Both sides did a really good job here, and it does remind me that the Ascension, they're actually pretty good, and they're actually pretty good when they're given into a light where they are allowed to show a little bit more of what they can do, where they're not really given all that much, and horrible promos to begin with when they got up to the main roster. The way that they treated those guys on the main roster right off the bat was just absolutely horrendous and came off just really, really bad. They kind of stopped their push like right away. So it was good to see them in a light that it reminded you that they were over, and they were actually pretty good in the ring. And they did a good job here of building Jordan Gable, getting them the win and everything in that aspect. So they're kind of using them in NXT in an aspect of, oh, we can potentially put over this new tag team, we can bring in the Ascension or something like that to help do that. So again, not a bad match. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it came off pretty well here, and it does a good job of building Jordan Gable for something down the road here, for potential tag team title matches or anything like that. And the other one that they set up, and they continued setting it up through the night as well, you had two vignettes backstage, one with Alexa Bliss, and then basically saying, oh, Blake and Murphy were going to be banned from ringside, everything in that aspect for the match with Bayley and Alexa Bliss for later in the night. And then you had Bayley's promo basically saying that she's always worked hard, everything like that. So Alexa Bliss is taking this whole aspect that, oh, because Bayley's this friendly type person, she's a weak person and everything like that, and that she doesn't necessarily deserve the title. And then of course Bayley's going to go off on the rebuttal of, oh, she's worked hard, she's really good at what she does, and she's going to teach Alexa Bliss a lesson of a lifetime moment. So that was pretty good promos from the two of them. Now for the match itself. Now, you can't compare this match to, say, the Sasha and Bayley matches. Those were phenomenal matches. And Alexa Bliss is not to that level yet. though for where she is at now, they put on a pretty good match. It wasn't, obviously it wasn't to the same level where we've seen some of the women's matches on NXT, especially for the women's title, but it wasn't a horrible match. They did a really good job here, and actually they did a good job on the aspect that it was just the two of them out there. It wasn't there was no real interference or anything like that. The two of them worked pretty well together, and the match itself came off relatively decent. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great by any stretch of the imagination. And this led to Eva Marie after Bayley gets the win, interrupting Bayley, and man, that crowd just does not let her talk in any way, shape, or form. They were booing the second she got out there, and they would not shut it up. And this is where I have to go with the knocks on. I have to knock Eva Marie on the terms of how her character works. You know, her character is this. Well, it's hard to say what her character really is. It feels like, oh, she's trying to earn the love of the NXT crowd and everything, and she's playing all nice and everything. So when they're booing her like that, she's not just kind of okay and all that kind of stuff. No, she decides to say, oh, shut up, dorks. That kind of goes against where your character's been going as of late. Obviously, I know she's going to eventually have to try to play up some kind of heel to everything in there, but they were kind of trying to pull her off as almost like this Bo Dallas type of naive, semi-naive person that was not understanding why they were getting booed, and they were just trying to work really hard at getting where they needed to go. But she comes off with that line, and honestly, again, her promo skills are just not there. They are not really there. Not there yet. Well, you gotta give them time in that aspect. Obviously, like I understand why most fans have issue with her. It's an aspect of, oh, she's viewed as more of a main roster type diva versus how the NXT divas and the women are completely usually different in the terms of how their matches are, their look, their feel, their character development, and everything like that. Where Eva Marie feels like a main roster diva, and also someone who feels like that that the fans feel like, oh, she doesn't care about the business, is only like a stepping stone for her and everything like that. So they're trying to just boo her out of the building and try to get rid of her as quickly as possible. And you know, since she had been in the company, she wasn't really doing much in the terms of wrestling. It was pretty much all Total Diva stuff. So again, that's where all that ends out happening. And you find, and her promo is like, okay, we're setting up for Eva Marie versus Bayley for the next week and everything like that. And it's hilarious. Like it's hilarious how they have Bayley try to calm the crowd down, but like since they won it, she has to do this aspect to hear Eva. She just leans in really quick. It's like, I can hear you now moment. So that was pretty interesting way of having to try to end the show, and they setting up the match for Eva Marie and Bayley next week. So we'll see how everything goes next week with NXT. It should be an interesting one, and we'll see how that match actually comes off. I've not been a big fan of where Eva Marie's matches have been. Then again, I won't say she's horrible in the ring. She's just there just feels like there's no fluidity to her matches yet, and that can be learned over time. It's an aspect of giving the person a chance. I'm still trying to reserve full judgment. I see the fact that there's some improvements sometimes, but then there's something that happens that is like, oh, you understand that this person's still not that good at the promo or in the ring or anything like that at this time. So, like I said, I reserve full judgment for a little bit longer period, for a little bit more period of time, just on the aspect that I guess there were some setbacks and everything while she was attempting to learn, and now she's full on into trying to learn everything and like everything in that aspect. So we'll see after more learning time and everything like that where Eva Marie ends up going somewhere down the road here. So this week's NXT I thought was pretty good. A lot of setup was from their promo side. Matches didn't really mean all that much in the end, with the exception of how they were building Jason Jordan and Gable with the match of the Ascension. Obviously, they have been building towards Alexa Bliss and Bayley, and now they had that match and payoff in there as well. So. Overall, pretty good show. I like the promos and vignettes that they did to try to set up more of the matches and more of the NXT time, and matches towards the next NXT takeover as well. So we'll see where everything goes next week. This is my review for WWE NXT, and I thank you guys for watching.